on your personality and your background and how you think if we don't ask those questions. This is talent. This is how we think about your extracurriculars. When we're looking at your extracurricular list, we are trying to assess a wide range of things. And most of the time, the stuff on this list is not better or worse. It's just different, and it's what we're looking to find out. Do you have particular talents or things you're good at? Are you particularly good at marshaling the people around you and just supporting a cause? Do you have long-term interests that you've loved for a long time, or are you recently discovering something new? And one of those is not better or worse. It's not like stumbling into something new is somehow worse than knowing what you wanted to do since you were 5 years old. But I'd love to see which are you. Similarly, are you well-rounded or are you specializing? And even if you're doing a lot of different things, you can be specializing. You can be doing a lot of different things around a theme, or you can be doing a lot of different things around no theme. Are you engaged broadly, or are you engaged narrowly? And again, one of those is not necessarily better or worse, but they are different. Are you exploring? Are you trying a lot? Or do you find something and settle in? And again, one of those is not better or worse. The last one, though, there is a better or worse there. For outstanding or uninvolved, one of those is definitely better than the other. If you are uninvolved, your application needs to address why. And there could be a lot of good reasons for that. Maybe you moved 3 times in the last 4 years. Maybe you attend a school that doesn't offer a lot of extracurricular engagement. Maybe you're, working outside the home, or you have younger siblings and your parents work long hours and you need to care for them. There could be a lot of reasons for that. Or maybe the reason is, I just didn't get it until now. Now I know, and it's too late. But you need to address it if you fall in the uninvolved category, because you're not going to be able to hide it. So the best you can do is own it. But hopefully, you're outstanding. Doing stuff, good at it, people love you for it. Yeah. And then there's voice. Voice is the stuff you can't even list. Voice is, how do you think? How do you engage ideas? Are you logical or creative? Are you inductive or deductive? Are you a cynic or are you an idealist? What is your personal or political philosophy? If you have a campus full of liberals and no conservatives, that's the problem. If you have a campus full of conservatives and no liberals, that's a problem. We're looking to see, are you charismatic? Do people like you? If people like you in high school, it is more likely they will like you in university. If they like you in university, it's more likely they'll like you when you go out to the professional field. If people like you as a professional, it is more likely that you will make a lot of money and be able to donate it back to my school. Niceness matters. And then we're trying to get a sense of your background, your family perspectives, your cultural perspectives. A Hindu is going to approach problems of bioethics differently from a Muslim. Your faith, your socioeconomic background, your ethnicity, your gender, these all play a role in shaping how you see things. And we want to pull out some pieces of that so that we know how you fit into our community and how other people have the potential to learn from you. We gather these things in large part from your essays. This is the Common Application Essay Prompts. How many of you have seen this before? How many of you have seen this for the first time? Students, I don't really care if parents have seen this for the first time. You don't have to write these. These questions: evaluate significant experience, achievement, or risk you've taken in its ethical dilemma, and its impact on you. Indicate a person who has had a significant influence on you and describe that influence. Describe a character in fiction, historical work, or a creative influence, and an influence on you and describe that influence. Well, these questions are all basically the same, and there are 2 on here I didn't list that are the same as this, right? Describe blank and its influence on you. And then topic of your choice, which is great, but unhelpful. It does not give you direction, it does not tell you what to do. And let's face it, if you're trying to pick a restaurant to go to with your friends, and you said, where do you want to go eat? And all of your friends said, topic of your choice. That would not be useful. And the problem with the Common Application is that I hate it. I think these are awful questions. They are horrifically dull. I don't know if any of you are looking over this and thinking, I am so excited about these questions. I cannot wait to indicate a person who has significant influence on my life and then describe that influence. That's going to be my jam. I don't know. Many of you are actually really excited about that. But good for you, but I don't think I can get there. And the problem is, like, I just told you what I want to know is who are you? Are you interesting? Can other people learn from you? And the idea of are you interesting is a really important one because being interesting is really different from being smart. You know people who are smart and boring. And you know people who are interesting and dumb. They are different. And here are the colleges and universities in the United States saying, tell us who you are, be interesting. And then the way that we tell you to be interesting is by answering a group of questions that are so boring. And if you ask someone a boring question, you are going to get a boring answer. So your challenge is how do you take this and make it into something of substance? And our challenge as admissions officers is how do we read between the lines so that if you don't know to do that, we can still figure things out. But many of us, Tufts included, have started including supplements. Additional essays you must write beyond the common application because the common application doesn't offer enough texture. And these are the questions that we asked last year. Or no, this year, excuse me. This is this year's, a couple of this year's questions. There's a Quaker saying, let your life speak, describe the environment in which you were raised and how it influenced the person you are today. So this is a question about influence, but we're hoping by giving you a little bit more texture in the question, you can give us a little bit more texture back out. And then one of the other questions, Dr. Seuss once said, actually he didn't say this is a quote is attributed to him. The actual person who said it was a guy who was setting places for where people would eat at a U.S. state dinner in like the 1930s. So it actually turns out this is way more boring than you would have thought. But the quote is, be who you are and say what you feel because those who mind don't matter and those who matter don't mind. Who are you? And we are trying to communicate things to you about our values as an institution with these questions. And many of the schools that ask questions will do the same thing. So here are 4 examples of things other schools are asking. This is all available on the internet. You can track it down. That's how we got it. So you have Cornell with a very straightforward academic question, right? Describe your intellectual interests, their evolution, and what makes them exciting to you. I find it slightly ironic that Cornell is asking what is exciting to you in the most boring way it can. But you get a sense of what Cornell values. They want you to be talking about something that is explicitly academic, which makes complete sense to me. Because Cornell does something really unusual. They have professors that help read applications. And if you had professors reading applications, that question makes sense. If I were a professor, I would want to know what you were interested in academically. That's what I would care about. And then you have Chicago asking something a little bit different. Othello and Iago, Autobots and Decepticons, history and art are full of heroes and their enemies. Tell us about the relationship between you and your arch nemesis. I love the use of the word arch nemesis. I just think that's so cool that somebody managed to get that into a college admissions question. So you look at the difference between Cornell and Chicago. Cornell is very straightforward, and what Chicago is asking you to do is play. They want something that's intellectual. You can see the intellectual currents in the question, but they're trying to see, can you play with an idea? Can you do something unexpected? Which makes sense, given my understanding of the Chicago community and the stereotypes I have about the Chicago students as undergrads. They're the kind of students who are hyper-intellectual but like to play. And I think it's kind of appropriate for you to read between the lines on some of these and try to figure out what is this institution valuing with their questions? And how do I reflect those values in a way that is authentic and representative of me? This is the last piece, the last form of merit I want to talk about. So we talked about academics, we talked about talent, we talked about voice. Now I'm going to talk about institutional priorities. This is the dirty, sexy form of merit. This is stuff you cannot control, that matters to me, and that you will generally have no idea about. Hypothetically, let's say that Egypt is important politically, and there are no Egyptian students at Tufts. And this year, we have a student applying who is strong enough to graduate successfully on time. They meet that baseline level. They might not be as strong as the kind of student we take otherwise. They might be lacking a little bit of academic or talent, merit. But I know that we have a whole bunch of students at Tufts interested in Middle Eastern politics, and they have no one to talk to about the Egyptian revolution. This student applying this year represents for us a form of merit because of the level of insight they bring to the other people on our campus. And that's of value. You know, hypothetically, let's say there are only 6 professors in the Russian department, and we have 6 professors because of the Cold War, and this group of stodgy, old faculty members who will not retire or die are upset that there are fewer students than there are professors in their department. Now, both these are not actually true for Tufts, but hypothetically that were the case. Let's say you are applying in our Russian major, and we need the Russian department to shut up. We will take you so that they get off our backs, even if you are a little bit weaker than somebody else. This third one, this is not hypothetical, this is real. Our football team is 0 for its last 17. Yeah, right? Like, who's done those, man? And we have a group of alums that care about this. I am not one of them. But they exist. And this year, we have someone applying, this is hypothetical. We have somebody applying who is championship caliber and interested for some reason in attending our D3 university and attending a school where the football team has lost its last 17 consecutive straight games. Miracle! We will take him. Let's say the next year, there's a student who is exactly as good in the same position applies. That is no longer a priority for us. And it's not that being the quarterback hurts that kid, it's that it stops helping. It stops being the piece that lets us ignore deficiencies in other areas. You know, and this is true for all these things. Like, what if one year we have a bonanza of Russian majors, we have 6 Russian majors, and now we have 11 Russian majors. And the fact in the Russian department are like, oh no, too many, we have 2 students each. Oh God, stop. Because they got lazy and used to not having to do as much work. We have to ease off on the Russian majors, and so being a Russian major doesn't necessarily hurt you, but it does stop helping. And so, you don't know these things, but we do. And for that matter, the form of merit that's institutional that I did not put up here, money. If your parents donated $50 million to our financial aid budget and you apply and you do the work, we will take it. Because those resources are merit. The ability for Tufts to fund Vietnamese and Bengali kids and students from Hong Kong and the PRC and Korea and Madagascar and Malawi and Colombia and Connecticut, Washington, D.C., and Detroit, and Pittsburgh, and L.A., the ability to fund those kids who could not otherwise be able to afford an education at Tufts, that is merit. And just as I would defend our admitting of that Vietnamese kid with lesser SAT scores, I would defend the kid we admit because their parents make it possible for us to take everyone else. It's a reality, and you might not like it, but it is merit. And sometimes, you might attend a school where they have like scattergrams, right? And they show you the things and they say like, you know, here's who got in, here's what their scores were, and you're looking and you're like, what the hell happened? Or you're looking at the students in the grade above you, and your best friend in that grade got denied, and a student who was much weaker somehow got in. And there might be things that don't make sense to you in your communities, both last year and this coming year in your own classes. And what might be happening is one of these. And you're not going to see it, you're not going to understand it, but that kid got in because of merit, even if you don't know what that was. So now I'm going to show you the context of our applicant pool. What does 16,400 applications look like? And to give you an idea of the kind of schools we're talking about, this is a list of schools. SAT scores, this is easy. It's not that SAT scores are the be-all and all of anything. It's simple. This is Tufts and a list of our peers. You know, a group of schools I think you've probably heard of. What I find really kind of striking about this, and what actually surprised me a little bit when I ran this list of numbers, is you'll notice that at a certain point, there is no difference between the quality of students going to these schools. This is a really strange quirk of the American system of higher ed. In China, in the PRC, the difference between the number 1 ranked school and the number 5 ranked school is huge. It's really big, the difference in quality. And the difference in quality between the number 5 and number 10 ranked school is even bigger. And the difference in quality between the number 10 and number 20 ranked school is absolutely gigantic. And so in a lot of countries,